Hi, I'm Sharon. Welcome to my classroom today. Today we're going to talk about and learn the basics of paper piecing. We're going to make this block. We're all Canadian, most of us are. Hopefully, maybe we have some US viewers, don't know. But this is what we're going to do. Don't you love those points? I still quilt today, and in my half square triangles, I'm still losing the corners. When you paper piece, guess what? You don't lose those points. Perfect points. And you sew on paper. So this is the front of it. I just want to show you the back. Give you an idea of what we're going to do today. I'm not going to make the whole block with you. I'm just going to make a section of it. First of all, I want to show you the pattern that you will all receive just for registering. This pattern comes courtesy of Monica Curry. She had a free download and we took advantage of it. We've modified it just a little bit. She gives you a picture here and it should finish at 10 inches. We thought that you could probably use this square in a quilt, front, back. You could use it as a placemat, which I think I will do with mine. I will put red 3-inch strips on the side, and then it will be bound. You could use it as a trivet also, or maybe a table runner, whatever you would like to do with it. Back to the pattern. When I open it up, of course, I can't open it today. On the first page, you'll see she gives you a description of how we'll put the sections together. There are actually A, B, C, D, E, 5 sections that go together. Then you have on each page the individual sections. There's A, B, C, and D, E. Like I told you, we are only going to do A today. Okay? So now let's talk a bit about fabric. We figure that you will need, depends what you're going to do with it. If you were just going to make this one square, you might only need 0.2 of 2 colors. However, we're going to be doing kits, and we'll give you enough to make 4 possible placemats. And that will be available to purchase. Okay, back to fabric. When I look at the different sections, when I'm deciding how to cut my fabric, sometimes with paper piecing, you're told exactly what to cut. This one is a little bit more of a challenge because you weren't told exactly what to cut. However, in your pattern, I have given you some idea. So when I'm starting, I look and see what the widest piece of fabric I'm going to need. And I cut a width of fabric strip that wide. Just so happens that I needed 7.5 inches for this big section here. So of the red, I cut a 7.5-inch section. Of the white, I cut a 5.5-inch section. So when we look at section A, you'll see that it's A1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that's how we're going to assemble this block. When we paper piece, if you're looking at the front of this section, this is going to become the back of your block, as you can see on here. For me, that was the hardest thing to get through my brain. So this side is going to be the right side of your block. And we're going to start with section A1. When you put your first section on, make sure you decide on which is the right side. And seeing as this is going to be the right side of your block, it's right side out with your first piece. It has to cover, and if you hold it up to the light, you can see that it's going to cover the A1 section. Now I'm not going to sew it there, I'm going to glue it there. I found that the bone fabric sticks work very well for this. We sell them in the store. We have them here, and we also have refills for them. They dry clear, so what you're going to do is just put a dab of glue on your fabric, or you could do it on the paper. I'm doing it on the fabric today, and just give it a second to dry. Now, the next piece that we're going to attach is the A2 piece. This is another very valuable tool. We're going to call it our folding template. So it's a piece of template plastic, which we also sell in the store. I just cut a strip of it, about 12 inches long. I'm going to lay it between section A1 and A2. I'm going to fold the whole pattern piece back. Then, another very valuable tool is the add a quarter ruler. If you can see, this is a 12-inch one. I also have a 6-inch one, which might work better when we're starting. You can see that it has one beveled side. You see the beveled side there? And then it also has this 1/4 inch ledge on it. We'll call it a ledge. And if I butt it up against my fabric, I can trim this off. It's a good idea to make sure that you check that your folding template is right on the line. Then butt your add a quarter ruler up against it. And then you can trim it off. Oh, I have to tell you about my rotary cutter. I love this rotary cutter. It's a Quilter's Select. People say it's heavy, which it is, but with my old hands, I don't have to put as much pressure on it. So it's one of my most valuable tools. The other thing I have to tell you about it is to open it, press, and it opens. Now to close it, because lots of times we forget to close our cutters, you just have to tap it and it's closed. This is an unusable scrap. Okay, so now I've got a 1/4 inch beyond. The next piece that I'm going to attach is going to be the A2 piece, which is the stem of the maple leaf, and it's going to be red. When I place it in position, it's going to go right sides together. So it's going to go on like this. Now I'm ready to take it to the sewing machine. But before I do that, if you're worried about getting it there and it coming apart, just put a dab of glue on it. That'll hold it till you get to the sewing machine. When I get there, I'm going to open up my pattern and I'm going to sew on the line between A1 and A2. I'm going to shorten my stitch to about 1.5 to 1.8. So you get a nice tight stitching. And I'm going to start about 3 or 4 stitches before the line. And I'm going to quit about 3 or 4 stitches beyond the line. See you at the sewing machine. And that's all there is to it at the sewing machine. Now we're going to move back over and we're going to turn it up this way, and I'm going to press this red piece. Maybe I need to get rid of this big long thread. There we go. I'm going to press it away. I could take it to the iron, or I could just use a pressing bar. Give it a good press. We have different pressing bars in the store. We have the kind like I'm using. We also have the roller kind that works well. Then I'm going to flip it over, and that's my A2 piece attached. Now, the next one is A3. So we're going to turn the template this way, or the pattern this way. I'm going to lay my folding template between A2 and A3. It's hard to see on there, and I'm going to fold it back. Now you can see where I took those few extra stitches, it's sticking up. So I'm just going to give it a tug to make it lay flat. Then I'm going to check again. Yeah, I'm pretty close to the line. Lay on my add a quarter ruler and trim. This will be scrap. My next piece is the A3. Remember, it's going to go right sides together, so I'm going to lay it on like this. Now, if you weren't given the size and you hadn't pre-cut, you might have a very long piece hanging over the edge here, which is okay. So it's a good idea just to lay it on, fold it out, and have a look to see, are you going to be able to cover it? I think so. So now, when I get it lined up, we're going to go back to the sewing machine and sew on the line between A1, A2, and A3. Oh, maybe we should just give it a dab of glue. Press it down. That'll hold it till I get there. No thread cutter on this machine. Here we are, back again. Now we're going to fold it out. Remember, this is now the right side, and we're going to press it open. And possibly I neglected to tell you, you can see that I trimmed the excess of this pattern away, and the dotted line is where you're going to trim this piece to before we sew the sections together, and this inside solid line is actually the sewing line. Okay, so now we've got A3 on, flip it back, now we're going to A4. Folding template, lay it down between A1 and A2. Then it might be a good idea if I trim these threads off, but we'll do it later. Fold it back. There's that piece sticking up again. Give it a little pull. Check to make sure that you're on the line. Put your add a quarter ruler in, tighten it up, trim. And that little bit of scrap is not good for anything. So now we need the A4 piece, which I just happen to have pre-cut. Remember, it's going to be right sides together. I had a hard time with this fabric deciding if you have to have it in the light to make sure you've got the right side up. So we're right sides together. Line it up. Have a look just to make sure that you're going to be lined up and have enough fabric. I think you are. And I have to tell you, paper piecing does not come with unsewing. There are times that you have to unsew and reposition. Okay, a dab of glue. Stick it down. And back to the sewing machine we go. here we are again, time to press it open. What a good press. Okay, that was section 4. Now we have this little section A5, which is going to be red. So I'm going to lay my template, folding template, on it, and I'm going to fold the whole piece back. There's that tug piece again. Now, maybe we'll try the longer at a quarter ruler this time. Helps if you have it the right way. Some more scraps. Okay, there is my piece that I pre-cut, right sides together. Now you can see on the A5 piece, it's going that direction and it's widest there. So you can get within 1/4 inch of the edge, either direction. Oh, let's do that dab of glue. Press. Back to the sewing machine. Trim those threads. And now we need to press it open again. You do get your exercise in paper piecing if you get up and down as often as I do. It would be handy. You could just set a table at the other side of your sewing machine so you could just swivel. Okay, back over, last piece, A6. Folding template on the line, fold back, do the check, make sure that you're on it, and trim. Butt up nice and tight. More useless scraps. Okay, now this is a big piece. See how it's going to fit? Remember, it's got to go right sides together, and it's going at an angle this time. So you have to make sure that you're going to have enough to get up to the top. And just by eyeballing it, I'm pretty sure I do. Line it up nice and straight. Dab of glue. Stick it down, and we're almost finished this section. Doesn't take very long to make this one. Cut those threads. This big piece out. It needs a good press. Now, because it's such a big piece and we have to trim it, I'm going to put just a dab of glue at the top also, just to hold it in place. And these glue sticks need to have the caps on them because they do dry out. What I do if I'm doing a bunch of paper piecing, I take a mug and put a wet paper towel in the bottom and then just keep dropping my stick into it. So now you can see from this side, we're done. So now it's time to trim it off. It's nice to have a short or a narrower ruler like this, and we're going to trim right on that 1/4 inch dotted line. See this big piece? If you look at the other sections in the pattern, there are places that I have just marked it as scrap. You'll be able to use this piece in those sections. Even this white, maybe not. Doesn't look like there's any places that it will fit, but the red will definitely. So don't throw it away. Let's trim the other side. Even that piece might be usable. Just check there to make sure that my fabric wasn't folded under. Section A finished. So now I just want to show you how you might put it together. We'll put this section A aside. I have put together section D and E on the A. You can see I've sewn them together, so I'll show you. Oh, and Lori pointed out, look at this section. This is section B and C, and I'm a little bit short there when I trimmed it off. But when I sew it, it will be in the seam allowance, so it will be fine. So it's going to fit like this. So when you're putting your pieces together, it's a great idea to use these narrow blue-headed pins, which we have in the store. And so I'm going to put my pin through this point, and then I want it to come out on this point. Because I'm trying so hard, I know it's not going to work the first or the second time. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to leave it perpendicular to the pattern. And then I'm going to go down to the other end. And I'm going to do the same down here. I'm going to put my pin through that point, and I want it to come out on this point. And I've got a ruffle in the paper. There we go. So I'm going to hold them perpendicular, and while I'm doing that, this one has slipped on me, I'm going to use the clips. I know I have them here somewhere. Just clip this on. And you can't sew over top of these, but they hold it nice and steady for you. And then I'll just go back to the sewing machine and sew this section on so that we will end up with our maple leaf. Let's look at the back one more time. There's the section A, BC on this side, DE on this side. The perfect maple leaf. Hi, I'm back again. I just wanted to do a review of the products and tools that I used in paper piecing. First of all, this paper by Carol Doak is what I used when I photocopied the original onto it. It's like a newsprint paper, and I found that it went through my printer very well. You'll make as many copies if you're doing 4 placements. You'll have to do at least 4 copies of each of the sections. So that's Carol Doak sheets, and they come in, we have them in the store, foundation sheets, and you get 100 sheets in a package. Another most valuable tool was my add a quarter rulers. We have them in the store also. They're called add a quarter plus, a must-have for paper piecing. I also mentioned that I used these blue pins. I'd never used them before, but I found that they're very slim and so are easy to put through and don't slip on you, and not too much force to get them through the paper. I also used the clips when we were sewing the sections together. And of course you have to have that folding template. So these are the template sheets that we have in the store. I did a bit of gluing, and this is my favorite, the bone one. We also have the refills, and you probably noticed that they are pink, which makes it easier for you to see where you have placed the glue, but they do dry out clear. And of course, my most favorite tool is my rotary cutter. This is the smaller one, and this is the 60mm one, which we have in the store. Remember, your job is only as good as the tools you use. Thank you. And remember that you'll be able to purchase any of the tools that I have used today from the store. Thank you so much for joining me. Bye now.